the Roots of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. This is episode 61. Thank you so much once again for tuning in as usual. If you are new, welcome. Really excited to have you here. Make sure that you subscribe on your favorite listening platform so that you can be notified when a new episode comes in. It's really exciting. Now, let's get on to today's episode. My guest is Jason Armatey, a PhD student in medicine who is originally from Ghana but living and studying in the United Kingdom. He is currently a PhD student in medicine at Nottingham University in the UK. But before we get into his PhD, we need to find out his origin story, right? So in this episode, Jason gets real with us about his high school career and some hurdles that he faced in the latter part of his school career. Despite this, he went on to pursue a biomedical degree for undergraduate studies. Currently, his PhD research is on a type of cardiovascular disease called ischemic diseases. Jason explains exactly what this is and why it is so important that they're doing this type of research. Further, we hear about other projects that he's part of, such as CanvasofLife brand that he co-founded with his best friend, and also another initiative that he's part of, and also being part of the organizing committee for BlackInCardio, a campaign celebrating and showcasing Black people in the field of cardiovascular research across the globe. Tune in as we hear about this and so much more. Hi, Jason. Welcome to the show.
Oh, hi. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you on today. I can't wait to get to know about you and everything else that you do, actually.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
Perfect. So let's get this show on the road. First things first, could you please just introduce yourself? Who's Jason? Where's Jason from? Where is he currently based? And what are you currently doing?
Okay, my name is Jason Armatey. I'm originally from Ghana. I moved to the UK when I was nine years old. And I've been here ever since. And I am currently studying for a PhD in the School of Medicine at the University of Nottingham.
Fantastic. Thank you for that little short and sweet, straight to the point. I love it. So now, Jason, as the people who know how the show goes, before we get into your science and your research, it's always good to know you away from the science, right? So you mentioned that you moved to the UK when you were 9, so you've basically been in the UK for all of your life. Did you ever go back? Do you go back? Do you visit?
Not as much as I'd like to. If I'm being honest, I've only been back once. Since I moved when I was 9, I've only been back once.
Okay.
And it's something that I want to change. So I want to be going back, to the motherland, back to where I'm from a bit more regularly. And I mean, right now, because of COVID and all sorts, it's not really possible, but it's definitely something that's been on my mind for the last year or so, is to be able to find a way to be able to go back a lot more frequently.
Is it harder because most of your family has or moved to the UK, or do you have family who's still in Ghana?
I do have family out there, but because my whole family are here, and as in my core family, is that? Yeah, my core family, someone like my mum, my dad, my siblings.
Yeah, your immediate family.
That's the word I was looking for. I'm sure there's a word for it. Yeah. So my immediate family are all here. So it's never really been a case of, because some people go back every Christmas or every summer holidays because they have kind of like more of their family out there. Whereas for the case of me, most of my all my immediate family are all here. So we just go. I go to other places for holidays and all sorts. But it's definitely something that I want to do a lot more of, and just kind of like get to know Ghana again. Like it's been a while, and obviously when I was 9 years old and I left, but things have changed a lot since even when I went back in 2017. One thing that I remember telling someone the story, I was saying that like I went to like my grandma's house, and the house, I remember it being like when I was a child, I remember it being a big house, and
Yeah.
I kind of like went there when I was a lot older, and looking at it, I'm like, oh wow, this is not what I thought it was. Like, do you know what I mean? It was so weird.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like kind of like your perception of when you're of things when you're a child and when you're an adult are so different. And that's something that I really realized, like kind of like going around places that I used to go, kind of like going to like different people's houses and just like seeing the roads and stuff that I used to be on when I was really little, and seeing them now and just looking at it really different. It was a very interesting experience actually.
No, I actually get that a lot because I'm from Malawi, so I moved to South Africa when I was 6, and similar thing. Like when you go back and you're older and you're like, I thought this place was huge, and I think also because being in like dare I say more developed country, you've seen bigger things and you're exposed to all of this big things. So when you come back home, you're like, oh snap, like, okay, this is all that it is. But it's quite interesting. And I really hope that you do get the chance to go back. I think sometimes as we grow up, there's always that thing that kind of draws you back. I think like deep down, you know, like now I can actually go back on my own. I don't need to wait for parents. I think there's like a little bit of freedom in that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think like, even I said to people, like, I don't think I want to go back with my parents anymore. Well, not anymore, but like I want to go back by myself because just so I can actually go and explore, kind of like Ghana. Like I want to go to like the different cities and the different areas, like, and kind of like rediscover the country by myself and not kind of like have, because usually when you go with your parents, it's you need to see this auntie, you need to see this uncle.
Yeah.
So you don't get the opportunity to go do all the things that you want to go to. Like for example, there's one place in Ghana that I really want to go to, which is Elmina Castle, which is where the slaves that's kind of like the last stop in Ghana before they were shipped over to like the US and the Caribbean. And that's a place that I really want to go visit. And I've heard it's really like, it's, you go there and you kind of like experience, like it's almost like you're there seeing what's happening and stuff like that. And I really want to go out there and like experience it and because it's something that like, you know, it's where I'm from, but I've never got the chance to go there and actually experience what everyone claims to have experienced. So stuff like that, I want to go to the north because I've never been to the north of Ghana before. That's something I just want to go up there and just see like what life is like up there, and also, you know, so it's definitely something I want to do.
Yeah, no, definitely. You can kind of hear already that you're a keen traveler, so that's coming through a lot. So I'm sure that, well, you know, now we always say after Corona, when the world is normal, you will definitely get to tick all of these things off your bucket list, and I'm sure you'll have a blast doing that. We kind of got to know how you kind of started and you moved to the UK. So obviously this means that most of your school career was in the United Kingdom. So while you're growing up, obviously, I wanted to find out, it's always quite interesting, were you like one of those students who was really good in science, and then obviously you took the predestined path of going into science, or is it something where you're like average and then here you are doing a PhD? Like, what was it for you?
I guess growing up, school was easy, in a sense where
Okay.
I don't know if maybe ease not the right word, but it definitely came to me very naturally. Like, I kind of like, I'd get taught things and I'd pick it up easily. I'd understand it quite easily. Like up until the age of kind of like up into the GCSEs. So that's like when you're like 16. I think I don't ever think that I struggled in terms of like kind of like exams and stuff like that. I always kind of like got like the A's and stuff without having to sweat.
Okay.
And then that changed when I went to do A-levels.
You got humbled.
I literally like, I remember like kind of like doing exams or like studying for exams and literally not understanding what was going on. Or like just not being able to I was like, what? Like, I literally remember questioning myself, thinking, wait, have I got dumb in the last year, or like since I left since I left school to like A level? What has changed? And I mean, to be fair, people do always say that the jump between GCSEs and A levels is a very big one, and I definitely felt that. At that age, I definitely felt like it was just strange, and I think I really struggled, especially in that first year where I literally felt like I was putting in 200% effort and literally not getting what I thought I deserved, because I've always found it quite easy, and I thought, you put in a little bit of effort and you kind of like get the grades, but getting to A levels and I'm putting in a lot more, like so much more effort than I've ever put in my life, and still not finding it easy. And it was say traumatic sounds a bit like it sounds a lot worse than it was, but it definitely wasn't a happy time for me, if I'm being honest. I think I really questioned myself a lot, because I've never ever like gone through, like I was up until that age. Like I said, it come easy to me. So finally, like now at this stage, I'm literally thinking, wait, what's going on here?
Did you feel the pressure? Was it also pressure from, like, let's say your parents were like, hey, Jason, you were really good, what's going on? Or was it internal more?
I think it was definitely internal. My parents kind of like, obviously they want you to do well, but they also, like I remember literally, like I think there was one point where and I remember I'm not even ashamed to say this, I don't think I literally cried like to my mom, where I was literally I was like, I can't do this. Long story short, I did okay and kind of like ended up going to university. And literally like in my first, like I remember my first year of uni, my very first exam at university, I did really well. And I literally like, and I thought, so I'm not stupid. Wait, so... and literally just like that, my confidence came back, and I thought, hold up a second. Like, it's not as bad as, like, you're not like, it was just a kind of like getting used to it, and like, it was just a phase where it just didn't come to me. Whereas the people who've literally gone through, like maybe when they were a child, where they thought, I'm not very smart, but then as they've grown up, they've realized that, you know what, like I maybe have a different way of learning, or not like the way you were taught may not have necessarily worked for you. And I think like I always try to share with people, like I remember I had a conversation with a friend earlier, like maybe a few weeks ago, and I was saying to them, think of all like the amount of people who've given up because they didn't think that they had the ability to be able to like go further, because of that phase. And because I've been through that phase of time, like that phase where I thought that I couldn't do it. I know that there's definitely like loads of people out there who probably were destined to like kind of like amazing things and kind of like gave up because they didn't have someone to support them, or someone to show them, you know what, like don't give up, yes, you're struggling now, but that doesn't mean that's the end of it. Like you actually can go through it. And that makes me sad to think about it. Like the amount of like, there could be geniuses out there who just didn't kind of like keep going, and they stopped, like they finished school early, or just didn't have the opportunities to carry on and stuff, you know?
No, I completely hear you. I think most of us, or many of us, have had those phases. I had those phases as well during high school. I had it during first year, where I thought, what the hell am I doing? You know? And it's just wild when you look back, and in that moment you think this will never end, and this is it, you know. And I'm like, we put so much effort about one particular point in our lives, and you think like this is it and that's it. But then like I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like the point, yes, I get it, you needed to go for varsity purposes and whatever, but there's just far too much pressure, and you kind of look back now and you're like, oh, what? I'm actually smart. And you have moments where you're like, oh my word, I'm actually not that dull as I thought I was, or I'm not that, or this course did not defeat me. So I really appreciate you being so candid in saying that you also had a moment, and yet here you are doing a freaking PhD. Who would have thunk it? Like, who would have thought?
And I think that's why a lot of us have to be
like, it's
phenomenal.
phenomenal.
I'm speaking to actually someone in my research group who's a doctor and is also doing has done a PhD as well, and she's like super smart. And she was saying that a lot of people think that it's about kind of like natural, it's like that natural ability, but to be honest, it's kind of like about the work that you put in. It's about you kind of like pushing. Like, people think that, oh, you're a genius because you're doing a PhD, or because you're doing this or you're doing that, but actually, so many of us are capable of doing a lot more than we think, and we have to put ourselves out there and not let kind of like the difficult moments define us or stop us from going further. And that one phase, or that 1 year of your life, or that 2 years of your life, that one result, or that one exam does not have to be kind of like the end of you. Like, people have come back from so much worse, and you too can. And that's something I like to share with people. It's not about like none of it. Like, I'm not a genius. Like, a lot of us. That I remember actually a professor once said to me that like there's literally like the way he put it was like, it was like, a lot of us have to study hard. We have to read. We have to do the work to be able to understand. Unless you're a genius. And he turned around to me and was like, Jason, like, you're not a genius. And I'm like, yeah, like but like, it's funny, like the way he said it, kind of like in a Spanish accent, made it even funnier. But what he was trying to say was, like, there's a small percentage of people who are actually geniuses, and for the majority of us, we have to put the work in. So that should encourage people to know that we can all do it. Like, it's not about, it's not that there's some of us are geniuses and you're not. Like, we literally all can get to this position, and you shouldn't let like something small or one period of your life kind of like define the rest of your life, you know?
You're absolutely right. And so is your professor. It's more about you have to kind of just sweat out these moments. And you did that. And, here you are. But while you were sweating it out during that period, had you already decided, had you already decided that, hey, science is what I'm going to continue with, even though it's kind of showing me flames? Or did you have like another choice? So like, what was the main reason for you to actually get into science during that time?
Actually, and in my teens around that time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of like changed what I wanted to do every like couple of years or every year, because of kind of like what I found interesting. And like I said, like up until like kind of like GCSEs, kind of like most things came easy to me. So science wasn't the only thing that I kind of like did well at. So like I remember at that time I wanted to be a lawyer actually. When I was around kind of like the age of like maybe like 13, 14, around that age, I think I wanted to be a lawyer. And that was only because I was reading these books by this about lawyers from this author called John Grisham. And I used to read a lot of his books. And I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to, like defend people and fight for the man and all sorts of and that's kind of like what I wanted to do. But then around that age as well, I was a keen sportsman, so I was doing I was playing football. I was a sprinter, and I kind of like getting to that 15, 16, I was starting to get kind of good. And I started to go to like kind of like the bigger competitions and the national competitions and stuff. And I thought, well, my plan was I wanted to go to the Olympics. So I thought I was going to train and go to the Olympics.
Okay.
And well, at least not that I thought I was going to do it, but that was my goal. I wanted to be an athlete when I grew up. So it was kind of like I didn't have this, like I didn't think science was the one thing that I thought I was going to do. I think the variety of things that I wanted to do. Like I found history interesting. I found I really enjoyed French. It was got to a point where when I was leaving secondary school, I had about 6 or 7 subjects that I wanted to do at A levels, but it obviously didn't make sense because at A levels you can only do 4. and I couldn't decide which out of the four I wanted to do. So I ended up picking sciences because I thought that that would give me the most options to kind of like figure out what I wanted to do. So that's what I ended up doing. So I picked the sciences and maths and then went on. And then I ended up doing biomedical science as a first degree because of like then as well, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I kind of like was interested in medicine, but I didn't apply for medicine because, like I said, at that time I was also kind of like, I didn't really have the confidence that I was capable of kind of like going into medicine or even, so I kind of like, you know what, I'll just go for biomedical science. And then if I do want to do medicine later on in life, I can do it. I can go and do like graduate medicine or go do medicine as a second degree or whatever. But at that age, I was still thinking of being an athlete. And I'm really glad that I ended up doing that degree because that opened up so many like different things to me and opportunities that I never knew existed. And those kind of things are what kind of like led me down this path. And I attribute me being here to those kind of moments. So for example, having an opportunity to go abroad to kind of like do different placements in different labs. I went to Malta and Turkey, and those kind of like shaped what I wanted to do because I went to Malta and I hated what I was doing out there. And I said, yeah, I'm definitely not doing this as a job. But then I went to Turkey the year after and I really loved it. And I thought, yeah, like research, that's exciting. That's what I want to do. I want to be doing different things and kind of having been able to like juggle different kind of like different projects and different things and as opposed to what I was doing in Malta, which is kind of like you're basically doing the same thing every single day. And I thought, yeah, that's not me. I can't do the same thing every single day for the rest of my life. And I knew that kind of job wasn't for me. But being kind of like doing research out in Turkey, that was exciting. And kind of like being in the academic environment, I found very stimulating and it was exciting. So I then went on to do a master's in research because I wanted to do research because of that decision. And that's kind of like led me down this path. And now I'm doing research and I'm studying for a PhD. So, yeah.
Wow, what a journey. What a journey. So just to note to people who are like, oh, no, whether you wanted to be an athlete, I forgot to mention that you actually were a sprinter. So it makes sense why you wanted to go to the Olympics. But it's really also really cool how you had such a diverse, rather think the word is you had a very broad outlook in terms of you didn't have a set design in terms of what you wanted to do. And I think it's even more beautiful that even as you were studying, you got to explore a lot of things. I don't think a lot of people have that opportunity to, like you say, to be placed in different labs and whatnot. And until eventually you actually found like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I think this is also another important point that to somebody who's listening and they might be an undergrad and they're still like, oh my word, I don't know what to do. I think sometimes you don't, and it's okay because you probably only find out after postgrad that this is something that I actually really want to do later on. And it's amazing that your journey has brought you this far.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of pressure on many of us to kind of like have figured things out, but between that kind of like that 18 to 20, 25, to like 25, you're supposed to have figured things out and you've got like your life sorted and all sorts. And I think that puts a lot of unnecessary pressure on people. There are people literally in their 30s and 40s kind of like picking up new careers or doing new qualifications and kind of deciding, you know what, this is what I thought I wanted to do at the age of 18. It's not what I want to do now. And there's a lot of people switching careers and kind of like finding new passions and discovering new things that they didn't realize. And I think that a lot of people need to just be easy on yourself and kind of like realize that life is long. It's a marathon. Like you don't have to have figured out everything at this age. So even if at this the age where you're kind of like figuring out what you want to do in life, be open to options. Like I'm now doing a PhD, but I'm still in that stage where I'm still thinking like, what am I going to do next, or what is life going to take me? And I'm open to kind of like what happens. I'm not going to be like, you know, this is what I want to do, and if I don't do this, I'm not going to be happy. And also because you can miss out on great opportunities and great like amazing things that could happen to you if you just kind of like just open your eyes and be open to what kind of like life brings to you.
Definitely, you're right. And I think probably now we're able to say, hey, you don't have to. We can have those conversations, but you kind of still have time. So depending on your, okay, let me not say that blankly, because sometimes you don't. Depending on your circumstance, people have to choose to do things, be it for financial reasons. But rather, if you have the opportunity to still decide, I think you should take the time to figure it out. I think it will save you a lot of trouble in the long run. Like, because imagine now, like 50 and you spent 20 years of your life doing something that you hated. So I think if you can take the time to just kind of reflect and try different things, it will save you a lot of time. So now for you in your PhD, your research, I hope I say this right, you're focused on the revascularization of ischemic diseases. Did I say it right?
Yeah, close enough. Yeah, it's ischemic diseases, but
ischemic diseases. Okay, so first things first, please tell us about this work and what exactly is ischemic diseases, and why is it so important?
Yeah, sure. So these diseases that I'm working on, they're kind of like they're cardiovascular diseases. So cardiovascular diseases are kind of like the biggest killer, or like the biggest cause of death, like worldwide. And the one disease that I'm focused on, which is an ischemic diseases, is peripheral arterial disease. So the blood vessels, but it's mostly kind of like in like the arms and legs, more specifically the legs. So the kind of like the blood vessels kind of like are narrow. So you're getting less oxygen and less blood flow through to the muscles. And basically the idea of my research is trying to like repair the blood flow and allow kind of like more blood flow to go to these, like the muscles basically, because in peripheral vascular disease or peripheral arterial disease, whichever one you want to call it, one of the issues with that is that you can get a lot of like leg amputations. The idea is that if we can find a way of kind of like curing or treating it so that you don't need to, so that you can prevent kind of like amputations, and it's a very costly treatment as well. So if you can find a way of treating this, it will save kind of like the taxpayers' money, and as well it'll save time and effort, and basically kind of like improve the current treatment that's out there. It causes a lot of pain in the legs, and like literally you could be walking and like you're literally in pain all the time. And the reason, like, some of the causes of this disease is kind of like atherosclerosis, which is kind of like build up of plaque in your artery wall. So obviously, like some of the easiest ways to prevent, or, like, you know what they're saying, like it's always better to like prevention is better than cure. So it's important that we always, like, I think in science we sometimes talk about kind of like treatment. I think sometimes it's also important to kind of like talk about kind of like prevention. And so kind of like if you can tell people to kind of like exercise and have a healthy lifestyle, you can prevent these kind of diseases. That's kind of like what my research is based about. It's kind of like trying to repair this disease. And ischemia is basically is restriction of, it's just like a lack of oxygen basically. So when like there's shortage of oxygen in some parts of the body, for example, a myocardial ischemia is kind of like a heart disease, where there's like the blood flow to your heart is reduced, and this can cause kind of like heart attacks and all sorts. So yeah.
Interesting. This is so interesting because it's very relevant, especially in this day and age. So for your research, this type of clotting and stuff that happens in the blood vessels in the legs, is it, so you said it's a lifestyle problem, not like something that's genetic?
The cause, yeah. So the cause mostly is to do with kind of like, so yeah, it's to do with kind of like unhealthy and an unhealthy lifestyle and but that's like it's kind of like, so if you think of like kind of like heart disease, so a lot of the cause of heart disease, like obviously there will be some kind of like genetic components to it, but majority of the time it's to do with kind of like if you can prevent it by eating well, exercising, that kind of stuff, you can prevent these diseases a lot more.
That's really exciting, and I'm really excited because it's very rare that I get to talk to people who are doing anything in terms of cardio, and dealing with these type of cardiovascular things. So like I think you're one of the first, I stand to be corrected, one of the first. So this is really, really great. And this then ties into my next question, actually. So last year, those people who are familiar with academic Twitter are familiar that they had this whole campaign, sort of, I don't even know how it started, to be quite honest, but it was a campaign where academic Twitter was celebrating Black in STEM. So during that process, they celebrated various different careers. So Black in Chem, Black in Engineering. And it was really beautiful having all of these Black scientists or researchers or people involved in this type of field, being celebrated and doing all of these threads and people getting to connect. And in fact, there was a week where there was BlackInCardio. And you're one of the co-organizers, which is really dope. Congratulations on that. It was really, really good to see all of the amazing people who are doing this type of work. So I wanted to ask you, being an organizer and just partaking in that campaign for that week, what were some of the major takeaways for you, be it organizing or just as a participant?
Yeah, it was an amazing week. And I think, like, first of all, congratulations to everyone, not just us. I think like all the people who kind of like were involved in all the Black in STEM or the Black in X weeks, kind of like it showed a representation of Black people in science and all this different, not just science, but also those Black in humanities and also. And I think that it was needed. I think it was long overdue to show people that, you know what, like we also are here. We also are doing these things that you may not think that we are. And kind of like looking on some of the websites of not just BlackInCardio, but Black in Neuro and Black in Micro and all the other like Black in Next movement, seeing the amount of people who are doing different exciting like research and working on exciting projects and stuff. It kind of showed people, you know what, yeah, like there's loads of us out there. There's loads, like that's. I remember like before last year, I hadn't met many Black people who were kind of like doing, like PhDs and also, and all of a sudden now there's like groups in the UK of like kind of like the West African Research Collective. There's the Afro-Caribbean Research Collective, which kind of like, and like kind of like Black STEM UK and all sorts, which is looking at different. Like different groups in the Black community, but also showing that there's also solidarity between all of us, and seeing all these faces and seeing all these people doing amazing things, and you're thinking, wow, so it's not just me. I'm not the only one in my, like, because a lot of us we're most likely to be the only person in our department or in our faculty or and it was amazing to see people kind of like globally, also like people doing kind of maybe similar things to you, or just like very different things to you, but having like similar experiences. And for me, that's definitely that was one thing I took from BlackInCardio, is that it's not just you. There is a community out there. It's like not just kind of like worldwide, but even in the UK, there are people doing kind of like similar things to you who will understand what you're going through. I've shared some stories with people where I've literally thought, wait, am I crazy for thinking this? And they're literally thinking, no, like you weren't at fault here. And having people who actually understand kind of like the things you've been through and like your experiences is such an amazing feeling. And for me, BlackInCardio showed kind of like the disparity and kind of like treating black people. I learned a lot in terms of kind of like how it's dealt over in America, which was really cool. We had a lot of amazing speakers who kind of like shared kind of like the work that they do, and shared kind of like how like, because they had the same mindset as us, and they're trying to kind of like solve this racial disparity, and looking at how they do it, and also was interesting, and it was nice to see that we could work together. And I think that's the power of the internet. Is just like people can come together from all over the world, and it kind of like makes this global community where we can all tackle problems together, and it's not just kind of like, oh, we're not limited by location anymore. Now you can set meetings with someone in Australia or in the US or in South Africa, and like discuss problems and how you can solve it, and create like initiatives to combat these problems. And I think that was amazing.
No, I hear you. It was beautiful. It was beautiful, like you said, seeing people who look like you, and, you know, who are doing these amazing things and connecting and building various networks. And also what you said, that prior to probably last year, as much as it was a bad year, all things considered, I think it was a really good time for us people to use the internet efficiently. It was very well used. Well, if you used it to just connect with people, and it kind of brought all of us together. And it was absolutely beautiful to see all of these things, and the talks, like you mentioned, attending some of these, for example, Black in Neuroscience, which I attended, and I was like, whoa, what? People are doing this, and this is really cool. Or Black in Immunology, which was really apt, given that we are going through all of this stuff. And I think I mentioned something previously to someone, I can't remember who, but I said that, it also just showcased that, hey, there's so much diversity in all the things that people are doing in STEM as a whole, like all of these things that I didn't even know people were doing. And even if you say neuroscience or chemistry or mathematics, there's just so many things that people are doing, and you just thought it's like one thing. So it was like mind blowing. And again, congratulations for your very successful week. And so quickly, if somebody is like, hey, this is something that I want to join, you being as a co-organizer, is there a way for them to reach the BlackInCardio after that week?
Yeah, definitely. We have a website, so blackincardio.com. We're also on Twitter, BlackInCardio. And yeah, you can reach out to us if you have ideas. Like, I think if you have ideas on things that we can work on, or you just want to be part of the team, and there's definitely opportunity. And I think there's definitely going to be more events that, I think there is going to be more events that we're planning this year. So yeah, watch out for the space.
Oh, sounds exciting. Sounds really exciting. And Jason, you are involved in a lot of different things, and there's this term, the whole new age scientist. Not only are you part of, Black in Cardio, you also have your own life, like a brand, which you do podcasts, and you've got a blog, and you've got like a website, and it's called CanvasofLife. It's something that you co-founded with your best friend, if I'm correct. So can you just tell us more about this brand? I'm also curious about how the name came together.
So the idea behind CanvasofLife is that basically your life is your canvas. So you basically have you're free to do whatever you want to do with your life. You're free to create life, to shape your life the way you want to. And the idea behind that brand is that we want to inspire people to kind of like, to basically go for it, whatever that may be, whatever it may be. Like you want to achieve goals. You want to people to be mediocre. We don't want people to give up on their dreams, and we want to show people that, you know what, there are so many people who've been through hard times, people who are life isn't easy, but we want to show people that, you know what, your life is your canvas. So think of it as like you're shaping your own life. You're no matter what you want, no matter what it is that you want to do, you can do it. And we want to kind of like, it's to inspire and to motivate people to go for it. And that's literally like the simplest way of putting it. And the idea came just from like conversations with my friend Rahi, who's the co-founder. And I guess our different life experiences and kind of like the things that we'd got through, we wanted to be able to kind of like inspire and motivate people to know that, you know what, you might be going through, like, life isn't easy and you might be going through hard times, but actually life is for the brave. Like, you can't give up on your goals, and you can't give up on what it wants to do. And we wanted to show people that you can do this through a variety of mediums. So we wanted to have kind of like podcasts where we have people come and share their stories and talk about kind of like difficult moments that they overcame, or kind of like, so that they can inspire people to not give up. Because I think that's something that I like. I don't know if you can tell from just, I like to share my story, like in no matter what, because I like to show people that like life isn't as easy as you may think. And we all look at people kind of like on social media, and we think everyone's living an amazing life apart from us, not knowing that we're all struggling. And we want to be real with people and show people that, you know what, like, yeah, like you might be going through a tough time now, but so was I last week, or so was I last month, but I got through it, and you can too. So like I said, so we're going to, like, through inspirational stories, through the podcast, through blogs, and because we wanted to have kind of like a variety of mediums, what people fancy. Some people might like podcasts and they might want to listen to stories. Some people may like reading and they might want to read blogs and kind of like read about people's lives. Or some people might like videos, and that's why we want to, our YouTube channel will be coming out soon, and we'll have all sorts of content on there. And the idea, like I said before, the idea basically is to inspire people to go for it, whether it's like fitness goals, or whether it's finance goals, or whether it's educational goals. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, but if you have a target in life and you want to achieve it, you can go for it. You don't give up on it. And yeah, like, that's kind of like what Canvas of Life is about.
Wow, that's amazing. It actually gave me goosebumps, because I think we definitely need more things like that, more things where people are real. You're absolutely right that I think social media has given us this like facade that everybody is perfect. Hashtag couple goals, hashtag soft life, like so many things. And you don't know that just because somebody posted this pretty picture, they are probably going through it. And here you are thinking your life is terrible, or comparing yourself. I think it's refreshing that, hey, actually you're struggling. And also on the other hand, that you might be struggling, but you can come out of it. And I think that's really fantastic that you guys are doing this. And also I love the fact that it's very multifaceted. Yeah, multifaceted in the sense that that it speaks on various different things, such as finance or fitness, because we all struggle in different ways. Some people not necessarily only emotionally. Some people might be like, hey, I've been struggling to lose weight and it's just hard. And somebody who's like, I've been struggling with money. So it's really cool that you have this rainbow of like a huge selection of stories. And how can people like be involved if they want to be involved, or how can they read more about everything that you're saying?
So people can definitely get involved. The idea behind the brand is that it's not going to be just us. It's not going to be us kind of like sharing our story, because we're only two people. We want to have people who want to create, people who want to write, people who want to share their stories, to come and basically collaborate with us. We like, life is a journey, and we want to connect people from all sorts of different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different walks of life, so that we can all learn from each other. Because you might have something that, like, from this conversation, I will learn something, or you might pick up something. But that's what life is about. Life is about each of us kind of like teaching each other, inspiring each other, and like being open. Rahi actually recently told me, he was like, yeah, you need to be like water, which is something that Bruce Lee said, which means kind of like, don't be stiff in like your mindset, be open to kind of like learning from people, be open, like move like water, if that makes sense. And like for me, that's a beautiful quote, and that's something that I've started sharing with people, is that because life, people say that life like life will it happens, like life will happen to you, or like things happen, and like there's going to be difficult moments, but if you have that mindset of like, you know what, I'm going to grow from this, I'm going to learn from this, like this is only a like a phase in my life, or this is only a moment in my life, you're going to grow from it. Like like one thing that I'm very keen about is to let people not let like one moment in your life define you. And I just like, and that's kind of like something that we like to share, we want to share with people, is that, you know what, like there's so many things you can do. Like, yes, I'm a scientist, or yes, but I can do a lot more. And I think that even in my 25 years of life so far, I feel like I've been involved in so much, and I still feel like there's a lot more to come from me. And it's not like I'm not giving up already on, because one moment might have happened, or something might have happened to me, but that moment's not going to shape and define my life. I'm going to grow from it. I'm going to learn from it. And yeah, like that's the idea behind us. Yeah.
No. Oh, that's fantastic. And you're absolutely right. There's still so much more. You can just tell. I think it really comes through that you've got this energy, or this, I don't know the word either, but your persona is coming through, that you really are about helping people to just realize that there's a better version of themselves, or to just never give up. And I think with that, you are definitely, there's still so much that we're going to hear from you, and everything that you do. And I honestly wish you all of the best in this endeavor and all the other things that you're doing. And I appreciate you coming onto the show. It was so refreshing hearing that positivity and just, yeah, I really, really enjoyed our chat. So thank you so much for being so open and so candid in everything. It's really, really
thank you
great.
for the opportunity to share a little bit of my story.
Well, yeah, if people want to know more about your story or anything, they can go and check out your website. So please do that. And for everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. Until next time, goodbye.